shit.
We're going to call the meeting for Akron City Council to order. At this time, we're going to have our clerk read the roll.
Baylor. Aye. Connor. Aye. Freeman. Aye. Fusco. Aye. Holland.
Aye.
Kamer.
Aye.
Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick. Aye. Malik.
Aye.
Mosley.
Aye.
Neal.
Here.
Amobian.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
All members are present.
Thank you. For those who voluntarily wish to do so, would you please stand as we are led in prayer by Pastor Dwayne Krabs of South Street Ministries. Immediately following our prayer, I'm going to ask if Councilman Kamer will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord, it's good to be here and to just pause and quiet our hearts and prepare for the business of the city. Just reflect that a week ago, a young man that was in the prime of his life, DeMar Hamlin, went down in full cardiac arrest doing what he thought he was born to do, and we all watched and it got our attention, and so we don't want to take our health for granted today. Thank you that we're here and in our right mind, and we feel very blessed. And Lord, thank you that at a moment of crisis when our city looked like the teachers were about to go on strike, that through the efforts of both sides, they were able to come to an agreement, and we especially thank you for Councilman McKittrick's wife and the role she played in helping to prevent the strike, and we pray that healing and goodwill will soon bridge the gap between the board and the teachers. And thank you for our mayor. Thank you for all the safety forces. Thank you for all the city workers that make things possible. And most of all, Lord, thank you for this body. Help everyone to just remember we're on the same team, and that as we work together, Akron gets the benefits. We lift the council persons up to you and lift up our citizens. We are truly a blessed people. In your name we pray, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The minutes from our previously held meeting have been provided. Are there any additions or corrections?
Second.
All in favor, roll call.
Baylor. Aye. Connor. Aye. Freeman.
Aye.
Fusco. Aye. Holland.
Aye.
Kamer. Aye. Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Mosley.
Aye.
Neal. Amobian.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
The minutes pass 12-0 with one abstention.
Okay. Before you, you have the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, roll call.
Baylor. Connor. Aye. Freeman.
Aye.
Fusco. Aye. Holland.
Aye.
Kamer. Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Mosley.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
The consent agenda passes 13-0.
We do have items up for public hearing this evening. Our clerk will read in item number 1.
Notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, January 9th, 2023, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. Ordinance authorizing a conditional use to construct an oversized garage addition at 525 Glenway Drive.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Madam President, members of council. Rick and Lisa McConaughey are seeking approval to construct an addition to an accessory structure in the rear yard of their residential property. The total area of the accessory structure would total 960 square feet after the addition is built. The proposed one-story garage will be situated 25 feet back from the property line. and would feature a single-car garage door facing the north alongside the existing two-car garage door. The garage would be vinyl sided to match the house and the garage. The proposed structure is only 60 square feet over the requirements for an accessory building. It would be a solution to provide for personal storage of vehicles and will add value to the property and neighborhood without imposing on neighbors. And Office of Integrated Development, Planning Staff, and Planning Commission recommend approval, subject to conditions.
Thank you. So at this time, we're going to go ahead and open up our public hearing. Do we have anyone here in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or against item number 1? If so, I'm going to ask you to please stand at this time. Seeing and hearing none, we will close our public hearing. Councilman Fusco, what is the committee's pleasure?
Nikki, I'd like to pull the committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules. Kamer? Aye. Connor? Aye. Baylor? Aye. Mosley?
Aye.
Report of the committee is favorable. We're asking for passage.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, thank you. The report of the committee is favorable. As mentioned, I know the ward council representative had been out there checking out the proposed conditional use and spoke to the petitioners, and neighbor Mr. Antonucci and the planning department and commission are all in favor. So therefore, we're recommending approval this evening.
Okay, thank you so much. The committee's report is favorable. The rules have been suspended. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor? Connor? Aye. Freeman? Aye. Fusco? Aye. Holland?
Aye.
Kamer? Aye. Lombardo?
Aye.
McKittrick?
Aye.
Malik?
Aye.
Mosley?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Amobian?
Aye.
Somerville? Aye. This ordinance passes 13-0. Notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, January 9th, 2023, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. Ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish a Type A daycare home at 1182 Tulip Street.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Madam President, members of council. Janae Young is requesting permission to establish a Type A child daycare home at this location. The proposed daycare home would occupy the living room, dining room, and enclosed front porch of the 1,200 square foot, 2-story house. Care would be provided for a maximum of 12 children, ranging in age from 6 weeks to 12 years. The days of operation will be Monday through Friday from 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. There will be no overnight stays. No changes are proposed for the interior or the exterior of the house. Petitioner stated that the drop-off and pickup will occur on the Eva Avenue side of the house. Most of the rear yard is enclosed with chain link fencing. Since the majority of the activities will be indoors and there is a solid screening along the property's southern property line, providing care for up to 12 children should not have a detrimental effect on nearby homes. Providing quality daycare service is beneficial to the entire city, and planning staff and planning commission recommend approval subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to open up our public hearing. Do we have anyone here in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or against item number 2? We're just going to ask that you please stand at this time so that you may be sworn in by a member of our law department.
Good evening. Do you swear or affirm the statement you're about to give is true, complete, and accurate? I declare. Thank you.
Thank you. So at this time, is there anyone who would like to speak in favor? If you'd like to speak in favor, just going to ask that you approach the podium.
Good evening and Happy New Year, everybody. I am also the founder, I'm Apostolette, and I'm also the founder and visionary for Mothers Lives Matter, Moms Lives Matter. And I am concerned of the component for item number 2 and item number 8, both of which are daycare items, because mothers still don't have rights and resources for their children. And I would like to know, in these daycares that you are proposing, what happens in a crisis? Is children's services called first, or are the mothers called first, or the fathers called first? Because we have a lot of difficulty with the rights of women still, our voices and our rights not being taken in consideration, and the government kicks in and snatches babies from from families instead of contacting the parents or reaching out to the parents and providing resources. And also, if a mother has a need for her child, will she be comfortable in expressing that need in the daycare? Or if she's late, will the government be called on her if she's late or she has a crisis? And these children should not be traumatized by being separated from their parents in a daycare or in a school setting. I believe that we need to have more resources available in the daycare setting, which the child is young, all the way up into the school age. And I would hate to see children and parents and families traumatized if Children's Services comes in and tears that family apart. And other than that, I have no problem with the resolution as long as it's fair and equal to the rights of the mother and the father.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? And just for the record, just please give us your name.
Janae Young.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I am Janae Young. I am the one that's wanted to start Futures Leaders Learning Center. I have been a teacher for 8 years. I have been a teacher at Head Start for 8 years, and right now I'm working at Akron Public at Helen Arnold. I just wanted to show my face and introduce myself. Am I allowed to answer her questions or?
Yeah,
or not?
go to the chair, the president.
Oh, okay.
If there's something you want to comment, yes,
Oh,
go
yeah,
ahead.
I definitely would like to comment about it. So my goal, my job is not to take children away from their parents. It's not to take children away from their parents. We have procedures to go through. It just depends on the circumstances of what's going on in the child care. Now, if it's a late pickup, we go through a procedure of calling everybody on the list. Most of the time, the parents pick family members or close friends, and then we keep going down. If we can't get in touch with anyone, then we have to, take better procedures. And sometimes we do have to call, Children's Services because we don't have no one to pick up the child after we done went through everything that we could go through, so the child can get into the parent back, in the family's hand. Now, if it's like abuse of any kind or anything, we have to, go through Children's Services and see like what's the issue, what's the protocols should we do after. So.
Okay, all right, well, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm sorry.
Is there anyone wishing to speak against item number 2? Seeing and hearing none, we're going to go ahead and close our public hearing. Councilman Fusco, what's the committee's pleasure?
I'd like to pull the committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules. Kamer. Connor.
Aye.
Baylor. Mosley.
Aye.
Report of the committee is favorable.
Okay, are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, I know the ward council representative, Mr. Kamers, in support of this and had done a thorough investigation previously. I don't know if he has any comments or not. No comments. Planning Department and Commission recommend approval. Recommending approval this evening. We are recommending approval this evening.
Okay, thank you so much. So the rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor. Aye. Connor. Aye. Freeman. Aye. Fusco. Aye. Holland.
Aye.
Kamer. Aye. Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Mosley.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, January 9th, 2023, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. Resolution approving the renewal application of George and Julia Reese to have agricultural property on Cortland Avenue to be included in an agricultural district pursuant to revised code section 929.01.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Madam President, members of council. George and Julia Reese are requesting renewal for an additional period of 5 years for agricultural district designation for this property at 1520 Cortland Avenue. The Reeses have 3.2 acres of land devoted for agricultural use. Agricultural designation will provide financial benefits in the form of property tax relief and encourages continued agricultural production of that property. Planning staff recommends approval.
Okay, thank you so much. At this time, we're going to go ahead and open up our public hearing. Do we have anyone here in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or against item number 3?
Do you understand you're still under oath?
I declare.
Thank you.
Okay, and Apostle, you can approach the podium.
My response is going to be for items 3 through 6, the same response. I support environmental improvement. It's a biblical concept also. My concern for the agricultural property is the fairness in what communities it's in. Because when I go through various parts of not just Akron, wherever I travel, I see greenery and I see certain things in wealthy neighborhoods that I may not see in the poor neighborhoods or the neighborhoods that are deemed to be a working middle class or working poor. And I see a lot of challenges with guns, and I see junk food. I see alcohol, tobacco, and stuff being sold. I see corner stores that are not fixed up. So I'm concerned. I want these people to have the agricultural property. That's probably the community I come from. But I want it to be fair, and I want it to be not a field trip for poor people, but I want it also to be an option for poor people. I don't want it to be a taxing situation for middle class and working class people where they're paying for somebody else to have something that they don't have a right to. So I support the agricultural area, the museums, I support all of that. But let's be fair and let's be reasonable in meeting the needs of all of the people. We should not have all of this sugar and expecting these young people's brains to work in school and they don't have greenery where they live. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. If there is no one else wishing to speak in favor or against, we'll go ahead and close our public hearing. Councilman Fusso, what's the committee's pleasure?
Thanks. I'd like to pull a committee for suspension of the rules with a favorable report. Kamer? Aye. Connor? Aye. Baylor? Aye. Mosley?
Aye.
Yes, thank you. This is the application that the property owner, the agricultural user, if you will, files with the state of Ohio. One of the approvals along the way to that final approval is through the city of Akron. They come to us every 5 years to verify that the agricultural use is a legal use within our jurisdiction, and we verify that, and that's what this is. Ultimately, it will be up to the state of Ohio to make an approval or not approval on this, and what it would do is they are given tax consideration as a result of that application. So with that, we're recommending approval this evening, and it's going to be basically the same explanation for the next 3. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor? Aye. Connor? Aye. Freeman? Aye. Fusco? Aye. Holland? Aye. Kamer? Aye. Lombardo?
Aye.
McKittrick?
Aye.
Malik?
Aye.
Mosley?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Amobian?
Aye.
Somerville?
Aye.
This resolution passes 13-0. Notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, January 9th, 2023, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. Resolution approving the renewal application of Donald and Carol Bessemer to have agricultural property on St. Michael's Avenue to be included in an agricultural district pursuant to Revised Code Section 929.01.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Madam President, members of council. Donald and Carol Bessemer are requesting renewal for an additional period of 5 years of agricultural district designation for this property at 1456 St. Michael's. The Bessemers have 51.7 acres of land devoted for agricultural use. An agricultural designation will provide financial benefits in the form of property tax relief and encourages continued agricultural production of this property. Planning staff recommends approval.
Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and open up our public hearing. Do we have anyone here in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or against? Seeing and hearing none, we will close our public hearing. Councilman Fusco, what's the committee's pleasure?
I'd like to pull the committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules. Kamer. Connor. Baylor. Mosley.
Aye.
The same explanation as the previous. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor. Connor. Freeman. Fusco. Holland. Kamer. Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Mosley. Neal.
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This resolution passes 13-0. Notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, January 9th, 2023, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. Resolution approving the renewal application of Barbara and James Dasher to have agricultural property on St. Michael's Avenue, Cortland Avenue, and Nye Street to be included in an agricultural district pursuant to revised code section 929.01.
Mr. Antonucci?
Thank you, Madam President. So Barbara A. and James A. Dasher are requesting renewal for an additional 5-year period for this agricultural district designation. The Dashers have 51.6 acres of land devoted for agricultural use, and planning staff recommends approval. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and open up our public hearing. Do we have anyone here in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or against? Seeing and hearing none, we will close our public hearing. Councilman Fusco?
I'd like to pull the committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules. Kamer. Connor. Baylor. Mosley.
Aye.
Thank you. Same explanation. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you so much. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor. Connor. Freeman. Fusco. Holland. Kamer. Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Mosley. Neal.
Aye.
Amobian.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This resolution passes 13-0. Notice is hereby given that the following public hearing will be held by the Council of the City of Akron on Monday, January 9th, 2023, during the regular council meeting at 7 p.m. Resolution approving the renewal application of Stephen James and Melissa Dasher to have agricultural property on St. Michael's Avenue in Cortland to be included in an agricultural district pursuant to revised code section 929.01.
Mr. Antonucci?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. The Dashers are requesting renewal for 5 years of this agricultural district designation, and they have 2.98 acres of land devoted for agricultural use. Planning staff recommends approval.
Okay. Thank you so much. At this time, we're going to go ahead and open up our public hearing. Do we have anyone here in the audience who wishes to speak in favor or against? Seeing and hearing none, we will close our public hearing. Councilman Fusco?
I'd like to pull the committee for a favorable report with suspension of the rules. Kamer. Connor. Baylor.
Aye.
Motion is favorable. Same explanation.
Okay. Thank you so much. The rules have been suspended. Councilman Neal?
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted to stand. Usually when these resolutions come in, we're blessed with Mr. Don Bessemer coming down, and he shares with us how his family has been proud. I see Mr. Antonucci smiling. His family's proud to have served the citizens of Akron now for over 125 years. They're proud to have fed, the community of Akron. Mr. Bessemer is in Florida right now, so he's not able to be here. I did want to express his appreciation for the times that we have passed this. He did ask for some assistance. I know Mr. Luddle, he's shaking his head, so he knows what I'm getting ready to say. Since they're an agricultural district, they have a lot of land. And anytime we assess paving of streets, well, you can imagine what that comes to. So he did ask me to express that we help him out so he can continue to help Akron by helping with those assessments on the roads, but he did want me to give his appreciation. And I don't know if they're the oldest business, but they have to be close to the oldest business in Akron, over 125 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Neal. Councilman Fusco, anything more?
Yes. I'd like to request time on 7 through including 9.
Oh, we got to take our vote. No further comments on this item? Okay. All right, so the rules, okay. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor. Connor. Freeman. Fusco. Holland. Kamer. Lombardo.
Aye.
McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Mosley. Neal.
Aye.
Amobian. Somerville.
Aye.
This resolution passes 13-0.
Okay, so now we'll move on with our old business, planning and economic development. Councilman Fusco.
Thank you, President Somerville. Time on 7, 8, and 9. Request the committees filed 10. The petitioner has pulled that petition. Time on 11, 12, and 13. Request the committees to file 14, 15, and 16. And then time on the balance of the agenda.
Okay. Time will be granted. That concludes our old business. We'll now move into new legislation.
Item 0 is offered by Councilwoman Mosley, Councilman Malik, Councilwoman Holland, and Councilman Fusco. Resolution expressing support for the American Teacher Act, introduced in the 117th Congress as H.R. 9566 to provide federal grants to states to support increased salaries for teachers and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco.
The report of the committee is favorable, and we're asking for suspension of the rules.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules?
I'd like to yield to the primary sponsor for the comments on this.
Perfect.
Thank you, Councilman Fusco. Yes, this resolution is in support of the American Teachers Act, which is H.R. 9566. If this passes, it will increase the salaries of teachers nationwide by providing grant funding from the federal government. It will also enhance the awareness and value of the teaching profession and the importance of teachers. If passed, this act will allow a starting salary of $60,000 for teachers, and it will adjust with inflation. As you saw in the Beacon Journal this past week, their article about the teachers' salaries, the starting salary of a teacher with a bachelor's degree here in the city of Akron is $42,000. So for this to pass, it would definitely assist our teachers and also allow for more teachers to come into the city of Akron and want to work here. So I appreciate the council members who came on as co-sponsors, but I do hope that we can do this as council as a whole. Thank you.
Okay. So do we have a motion for council as a whole?
So moved.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, so we have a motion on the floor for council as a whole. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor. Connor. Freeman. Fusco. Holland. Kamer. Lombardo. McKittrick.
Aye.
Malik.
Aye.
Mosley. Neal. Amobian.
Aye.
Somerville.
Aye.
This resolution passes 13-0. Item number 1 is offered by Mayor Horrigan. Ordinance authorizing an agreement between the Fraternal Order of Police, Akron Lodge Number 7 Bargaining Unit, and the City of Akron regarding changes in healthcare benefits through calendar year 2024 and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman,
The committee's report's favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules.
are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
This pertains to the health portion of the agreement between the City of Akron and the bargaining unit, and with that, we ask for its passage.
Okay, thank you so much. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor? Roll call.
Baylor. Connor. Freeman. Fusco. Holland. Kamer. Lombardo. McKittrick. Malik. Mosley. Neal. Amobian. Somerville.
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Items 2 through 5 were the public hearings that we already voted on. Item number 6 is offered by Fusco. Ordinance designating an area north of Merriman Road and west of Akron Peninsula Road as the Merriman Valley Community Entertainment District pursuant to sections 103.01.103 to 103.06 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Akron and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
For?
This item will be referred.
Item number 7, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing a conditional use to retain a 2-unit dwelling at 69 Oakdale Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
Refer.
This item will be referred.
Item number 8, offered by Fusco, ordinance amending, supplementing Title 15, Chapter 153, Zoning Code, Article 12, Appeals and Applications, Article 13, Amendments, and Article 14, Conditional Uses regarding fees for the Board of Zoning Appeals and Planning Commission and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
Refer.
This item will also be referred.
Item number 9, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing a conditional use to expand an auto salvage business at 1430 and 1480 East Archwood Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
Refer.
This item will be referred.
Item number 10, offered by Fusco, ordinance accepting a vacation plat for a portion of Basswood Avenue west of 152 West Dartmoor Avenue and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
For the committee is for suspension of the rules with a favorable report.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yeah, this is a vacation plat, as we know, is requested by the ward council representative. This is in favor of vacating a portion of a street that's no longer needed, but will benefit a local business that it's a dead end of a street from what I understand. And so this is in the city's best interest, so we recommend approval this evening. Thank you.
Okay.
We recommend approval this evening.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any other comments at this time? All right, seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor? Connor? Aye. Freeman? Aye. Fusco?
Aye.
Holland?
Aye.
Kamer? Lombardo?
Aye.
McKittrick?
Aye.
Malik?
Aye.
Mosley?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Amobian?
Aye.
Somerville?
Aye.
This ordinance passes 13-0. Item number 11, offered by Fusco, ordinance authorizing the transfer of city-owned property to the Akron Zoological Park, the Akron Zoo, in exchange for property owned by the Akron Zoo and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Fusco?
I apologize to whoever it is back there. I have a cold. Refer. Thank you.
This item will also be referred.
Item number 12, offered by Mayor Horrigan, resolution approving and confirming the reappointment of Sarah Radenberg to the Tree Commission for the term expiring on January 1st, 2026, and declaring an emergency.
Councilman Freeman?
Committee's report is favorable. We're asking for suspension of the rules.
Are there any objections to suspension of the rules? Seeing and hearing none, the rules have been suspended.
Yes, this resolution would reappoint Sarah Vradenberg to the Tree Commission. She was with us this afternoon, and the chambers just echoed with accolades for the fine work that she has done for so many, and with that, we would ask for its passage.
Okay, thank you so much. The rules have been suspended. The committee's report is favorable. All in favor, roll call.
Baylor? Connor? Aye. Freeman? Aye. Fusco? Holland?
Aye.
Kamer? Lombardo?
Aye.
McKittrick?
Aye.
Malik?
Aye.
Mosley?
Aye.
Neal?
Aye.
Amobian?
Aye.
Somerville?
Aye.
This resolution passes 13-0.
Okay. That concludes our new legislation for this evening. We're now going to move to the portion of our meeting that we refer to as our public comment period. If you wish to speak before this body, just going to ask that you please stand at this time so that you may be sworn in by a member of our law department.
Good evening. Do you swear or affirm the statement you're about to give is true, complete, and accurate?
I declare.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. So when you hear your name, just going to ask that you approach the podium. You will have 3 minutes to speak to this body. We do want to remind you that this is an official meeting. We're going to start with Apostolette.
Good evening again, everybody. And I believe that we're going to have a progressive year this year, and we're going to curtail the violence this year. I'm Apostolette, and you all have been seeing me come for a short spell, and I'm seeking the presidential seat for the United States of America for the 2024 election, and my bid has been in since August of 2021. And in my walk and in my plight, and you can find me on the FEC website. This is some of my information I brought with me this evening. I ran into an experience recently. A preacher who I ordained and licensed lives in a group home. He's not able to care for himself because he has cerebral palsy. His limbs don't work, and his feet are not functional. And I met with him at a library, not here in Akron, but on the outskirts of Akron, but his care is directed from Akron. And when I met with him, he was filthy. When I called the caregiver in reference to him, she brushed me off and said I was delusional instead of investigating it. And when I call, people use profanity. It's not only insulting because he's disabled, it's not only insulting because he's a preacher, it's insulting because he's a person with needs. And I wonder why it is that people who are not labeled to be normal, the needs are not being met. I wonder, because we may be a paycheck away from poverty. We may be a medical diagnosis away from cancer. We may be a doorbell away from homelessness. But something needs to be done about the needs of these disabled people. It doesn't go away. I'm also very concerned about the threat of the teachers going on strike. We've seen what has happened in the result of Engel versus Vitale when prayer was taken out of our academic setting. And it seems like prayer is being taken out of this nation. And I'm very concerned. Because anytime there are more rights for guns and weapons of warfare than there are for women, children, and for family values, we have some very serious concerns. I pray that we have a better year this year than we've had in the past. Thank you.
Thank you, Apostle Ed. Reverend John Beatty.
Dear Madam Chairperson and fellow members of Akron City Council, I'm Reverend John Beatty at 2047 Wyndham Road in Ward 8. At the end of the last council meeting before Akron's 2-week Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and New Year's vacation, I overheard Deputy Mayor Marco Somerville announce to a citizen's question about Jalen Walker's case, "That's over." For Jalen's mother, sister, family, the grief, the questions, the pain of the loss of Jalen will never be over. In the next few weeks, we will be just beginning the long journey to reform the Akron Police Department from too often acting like a white gang that sometimes operates like Ku Klux Klan night riders who become the secret enforcers of white supremacy, who chase black men, corner them, shoot them multiple times, and declare to the world that their actions were justified because the victim was in a bad neighborhood or made threatening gestures toward them. The goal is a police department that protects and serves all the residents of Akron equally, whether they are black, white, Latino, immigrant, rich or poor, homeowner, renter, business owner, shopper, or just plain homeless. Whether they are bodybuilders, handicapped, mentally ill, speak English or not. Whether they are straight, gay, queer, or especially trans. A police force that emphasizes de-escalation instead of escalation. Respect for everyone, helping citizens instead of controlling them with physical force and terror, who see residents not as criminals whom we just haven't caught yet, but as children of God who need understanding, assistance, information, patience, nonviolent persuasion, and forceful coercion only as a last result to save lives with as little injury as possible. If we persist, if we don't give up, if we keep our eyes on the prize, if we work together, we will be amazed at the transformation that we will see. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Beatty. Michelle Colopy.
Thank you. I am Michelle Colopy, Executive Director of Lead for Pollinators at 1624 Idlewood Avenue. At the December 12th council meeting, the council president stated that in the future, it will be better if the city talks with neighbors and about neighborhood projects before getting too far into the process. Citizen involvement in government is a best practice and expected in a democracy. Transparency and communication are key to citizens trusting their government. Yet the city did not learn from a similar situation 4 years ago when the city wanted to have the humane officer confiscate nuisance beehives from beekeepers. In drafting that legislation, no one from the city spoke with beekeepers. In the city's ill-planned legislation, the city would have created their own nuisance bee yard of confiscated hives and risked the health and well-being of the humane officer. The city legislators had no idea of beekeeping, nor did they ask any beekeeping experts in crafting reasonable and knowledgeable legislation. The city did not learn from that experience 4 years ago that talking with experts will help the city actually draft reasonable legislation. Talking with, engaging with, and listening to citizens, neighbors, scientists, and in the case of water-related projects, outreach to those impacted downstream of any project is the best practice in community development and planning. In the city's latest iterations straining their credibility, the city wants to destroy wetlands, cause more damage downstream, and mismanage the taxpayers' funds through a 90% financial loss on a land deal at White Pond. If the city is concerned for all of Akron and wants to hear from others interested in the land, why were no other bids accepted for this property, including from a citizen who stated they would pay $1 million for the wetlands, $250,000 more than the sale price approved by this body last month? The city dismisses the citizens' concerns as a day late and a dollar short, and that there are too many women, too many underage 30 folks, too many concerned citizens who just don't understand the value of money over trees, bats, pollinators, wildlife, wetlands, and a healthy community for all Akron residents. Lead for Pollinators and the White Pond neighbors continue to oppose the housing retail development project on the White Pond wetlands. We appreciate those council members who voted with Akron citizens, Councilwoman Holland, Councilman Neal, Councilwoman Mosley, Councilman Kamer, Councilman Malick, and Councilwoman Amobian. This land on White Pond Drive should remain in its natural state to continue to provide free ecological services to this neighborhood and the greater Akron and Summit County community for its valuable contribution to on-site and downstream tourism at Portage Lakes, mosquito control, pest control, and flood control. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle Colopy. Harrington Hargrove.
Good evening, Council. Harrington Hargrove, 1008 Laurel Avenue, Akron 44307, Ward 3. And I have a comment about the last month on the 12th, the last council meeting. Madam President, I think you disrespected me. That's my feelings. I asked you questions and you said nothing. Why should I have to meet you after council to get nowhere with you? If you want to talk to me about my project in Ward 3, about I'm going to create 10 jobs down on Thornton Street. Talk to me about that. And furthermore, I'll go back to the black community. You have done nothing for us, Madam President, when it comes to economic development in Ward 3. You have no track record showing what you've done for the black community, the men and women that lives there. So I give you respect. I expect respect in return. I never disrespect any of you, even though you disagree with me. And I come down here asking for economic development in Ward 3. Why is that so difficult for this council to understand? Ward 3, all the reports that you've gotten from the Beacon Journal, Ward 3 has been excluded. We have been decimated as far as business in Ward 3 because of the inner belt. And this city won't make us whole. You won't do anything to uplift us in Ward 3. 35 years in Ward 3 and not one new minority business. How many communities down here can say that? In 35 years, you've not had one new minority business. In a community that is 85, 90% minorities. These the community development block grant money that's spending down in that corridor, the qualified census, the black community is not receiving any of that. You're giving it to metropolitan housing. I've talked to council down here and they said, we should be happy because metropolitan housing is getting millions of dollars. I've heard that from 2 people down here. We should be happy. How does that uplift us, what you give to metropolitan housing? They said our community is better off by y'all giving metropolitan housing the money instead of the community, the people who live down there in the community. We're blighted. I ask y'all to go by there and ride. Ward 3 is blighted, no new business. Ask my councilwoman. There's no voice for the black community in Ward 3. So some of you council members ought to step up and do something for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hargrove. David Garan.
David Garan, live in Ward 8. Good evening, neighbors. In terms of White Pond City property sale, it seems that you may proceed with your agreement with White Pond Reserves, formerly referred as Triton. However, this developer will be building homes on land that's contaminated with cadmium and arsenic. There's no guaranteed method to remove this hazard. Only paving over every square inch of land will protect the public. Additionally, there are 3 oil pump jacks that release methane and other volatile organic compounds such as benzene. Benzene is a carcinogen. You're going to expose the public to these carcinogens. Is the city and this council will do its duty by posting warning signs around the housing development after it's done to keep children from digging into the dirt and to keep adults from planting vegetable gardens? The answer is no. The 7 members of this council who voted for the development and the mayor work for the benefit of the developer and not the public. Also, please be aware that when a copy of this taxpayer demand letter was sent to the president and CEO and founder of Triton Properties in a suburb of Denver, Patrick Bailey, he wrote back, quote, "I have no idea what this is for, and I have no developments in the area," unquote, received on December 23rd. Also, in Detroit, Triton began its purchasing of property and buildings and housing around the Great Recession. Specifically, Triton purchased a senior housing unit that was in foreclosure called Alden Towers. Triton promised to rehab these apartments and to provide affordable units to the former members or former residents. However, this promise was not kept. The more the public digs into Triton's history and the fact that the land and the air are contaminated, this council will want to get out of this agreement. Consequently, you can still use Section 3427, procedure for the sale of city real estate, that states a 2/3 vote should happen to sell this property. Although the Ohio Supreme Court decision seems to preclude a taxpayer from forcing councilor to have a 2/3 vote, but the Supreme Court doesn't stop the council to decide to use 3427 to get out of this bad agreement. At the December 12th meeting, you were very poor. Margo's comment about you'll do better, the mayor and his council forced the River Bend project. That was very a disingenuous comment. And then lastly, you removed everybody from the audience, and there were many people here who were not part of the White Pond. That was shameful of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grant. Is Walina Jackson here with us?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. I came a few months ago requesting for a no truck picture sign, and a response was, a statement was made to me after my 3 minutes, and I didn't get a chance to rebuttal. Can we get that on? Please, can we turn that? And I didn't get a chance to respond, and I wanted to respond. I came the last time, but the White Pond, they was having a big issue that needed to be resolved, and we had to exit the room. So I didn't get a chance to say it then, so I'm going to try to say it today, that when you speak to us, you need to think about who you speak it to, because I'm not any of your friends. You're not mine. My friends don't talk to me like that. I didn't appreciate what was said to me at the last few seconds. You need to give a little bit more respect to us, because I don't talk like that to my friends, and my friends definitely don't talk like that to me. We have a higher level of respect for one another. And then with the no parking, I did go to my council. No offense to my council, because he is trying, but at that time he could not resolve my issue. So therefore I ended up talking to the mayor, and the mayor came and helped me, along with the deputy mayor. They showed up, they saw what my complaint was, and they got the sign. It was not the sign that I was requesting for my road, but it was a sign that we could use until I can get it addressed. But then I got sick. I was dealing with other issues that wouldn't leave me alone, so therefore I couldn't finish it. But then in January of 2020, the mayor came with the deputy mayor, and they got that sign up for me, and I thank him for that. And then what happened with me was a few days ago, we've been complaining about the donut circle drivers around my neighborhood. I can't go to sleep. They bother the road, the neighbors on the road, and I've been complaining about that. I don't, no offense to my councilman, but I didn't feel as if he could help to resolve that situation, so I go a little bit higher. And that's why I came to the council meeting 3 months ago, because I figured that all of you, that's why I was writing those letters. None of you wrote me back. Nobody said anything, but the mayor wrote me. He had his office to write me. I don't know what's going on with White Pond, but you know what? That mayor, he's been trying, and I think that he's doing a doggone good job. He probably made a mistake with White Pond Drive, but then that's when he gave it to the council. They didn't do their part. Therefore, you can't blame one man for everything. Sometimes you can do the right thing, and still, it doesn't matter. People will tear you down. So my thing was to come here and speak on behalf of the mayor, because I think he did a good job. And for the past 3 days, give me 2 more seconds, the past 3 days, the mayor, I had that problem. I called his office, and although they was trying to give me 50 excuses why they couldn't do what I asked them to do, somehow it got done. And for the last 3 days, I've been able to sleep in my home. I haven't had any dog poop on my yard. So thank you so much. Thank you for listening. And please let the mayor know that Walina Jackson said, I appreciate everything that he's been doing to help me. Thank you. And everybody have a happy new year.
Thank you, Mrs. Jackson. Ken Brooks?
wanted to come up this evening to speak about the menacing ordinance that was passed last meeting once everyone was out of the chambers and the live video feed was off. I get that you guys have a high-pressure job and a lot goes on and you respect your privacy and things like that, but as you can see, with all the bureaucracy and things like that and the tendency for you guys not to listen, sometimes a form of protest and things like that is the last answer. So for you to give a 3-day minimum for menacing, which is very vague, which I believe was due to things from this summer and different things from City Council, I mean, no one is really threatening you guys. All we want is you guys to care about our community. And for you to pass the menacing ordinance, because people choose to stand up to you and voice their opinions when you're not doing the job that you have been elected to do, I feel is once again just disrespectful to the community. So me already being a black male, I'm already seen as menacing. So now if I choose to speak my mind to you in any way, shape, or form, now you can press charges against me. I could get a 3-day minimum because I'm menacing. And I mean, you can shake your head no, but I mean, there's plenty of times when people feel like I present danger just because of my outward appearance. Not necessarily you, but it happens on a regular basis. Clutch purses, car alarms, things like that. People feel like I'm menacing already. So for me now to feel like, due to my civic engagement, I can be threatened with a 3-day minimum, I just feel like, once again, it's just disrespect for your constituency. We are the community that have placed you in these positions, and I'm just wondering, when will you ever care? When will you ever show us any respect? It seems like this is just a very self-serving you right now. It's all about you guys' personal things like that. I mean, I'm not going to say everyone because some do seem to care, but for the most part, it's just totally disconnected from this community, and I don't understand why we allow you guys to continue to have your job for the most part. But I really do feel like at this point the community is ready to do something about that. So I just wanted to share that. That's my time.
Thank you, Mr. Brooks, for sharing. We do have some individuals who are online with us, but I do see Mr. Reynolds is here in person, so we'll have you come up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A couple things. The last several weeks I have watched online. Several of you are very hard to hear online. So if when you're speaking, not just in here, but online, it's hard to hear. So I share in Apostolet's vision of a better year this year. As I was sitting back here trying to figure out what I was going to say, I came up with the analogy. Akron is like a human body with 10 parts, plus 3 parts that affect everything. You guys are like the heart of Akron. You each represent one part of Akron. Maybe the foot, maybe the arm, the nose, whatever. When you guys as a whole don't seem to function correctly, caring for all the parts of Akron, all the parts of the body, it causes Akron to fail. I pray that you guys would be able to work together and care for the body of Akron. Secondly, I was out today with some of our great educators at the rally, and one of them gave me this line: "Be kind, 330 safety matters." This doesn't just apply to the schools. This applies to the communities. This applies to everything. The way we deal with the police officers, they do a great job at times, and then sometimes there's things that we might not agree with. Doesn't mean they're wrong, doesn't mean we're wrong. It depends on the situation. But I feel like Akron, in order to have this body of of Akron to survive, we need to care about safety. There's a lot of small things, quality of life issues that need to be addressed. I would strongly encourage you guys to try to figure out some small ways that we can change how we do policies. Also, on several of the things that passed over the last few weeks, they're replications of state law. The badgering law, or the one that was passed last council, there's a law in Akron, or a law in the state that prohibits distracting from official business. Definitely applies. You know, I encourage you to not look at replicating state laws, but look at how you can fix how Akron processes things. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Reynolds, for sharing. I think we do have one individual who is online with us.
Correct.
All right, you may begin. Thank you.
Happy New Year, everybody. And in case you're wondering, 11 officers who killed people in this city are still on the force. And here are their names: Matthew T. Ritzinger, Katie L. Sweeney, Corey A. Siegfried, Brian Boss, Matthew Akers, Jamie Rea, Dylan J. Carvani, Joseph M. Philemon, Joshua S. Getz, Judd A. Bishop, and Justin D. Trollick. These officers have all been affiliated with the killings of Jalen Walker, Omar Ali, and Mohammed Izzafar. And I am terrified that Akron continues ignoring the calls to get these officers off the force. These are dangerous people. They are not to be trusted. And I'm tired of Akron City Council not forcing these officers out, the Akron Police not forcing their officers out. I don't care about what you people have to say on this sort of matter if you guys aren't willing to kick these officers out. They are murderers. No, nothing more and nothing less. And I am ashamed to live in a city where killer cops walk free. If the cops can't do their duty, if they can't hold each other accountable, abolish the whole police force. That's it. End of story. I yield my time.
Thank you. That actually concludes our public comments for this evening. We're now going to move into committee assignments, rules, Councilman Freeman. Public Safety, Councilman Kamer. Budget and Finance, Councilman Freeman. Parks and Rec, Councilman Lombardo.
145.
Planning and Economic Development, Councilman Fusco. Housing and Neighborhood Assistance, Councilman Fusco. Public Service, Councilwoman Mosley.
2 p.m.
Health and Social Services, Councilwoman Amobian.
2:30.
Public Utilities and Green Committee, Councilman Freeman.
45.
Okay. Is there anything else coming before council at this time? Councilman Neal? You kneel to Councilman McKittrick?
Thanks, Madam President. I just wanted to express my appreciation. Today is Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. I feel that we're blessed here in the city with a good department, actually a great department. We have surrounding communities where people are serving their communities as well, that we should show appreciation, not just locally, but through the county offices, state and federal as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman McKittrick. Councilman Neal?
Thank you, Madam President. While we were on break, there were several articles written in the paper that I believe council needs to address. One was our constituents asked us, are we in violation of our charter? I see we have our law director here. Questions were asked in the paper. I don't know if anyone on council got an answer. I didn't get an answer. I think we need to know, are we in violation of our charter? We take an oath to uphold the charter. It's just a yes or no answer. but I think that needs to be answered. The second one is the questions about the ARPA dollars. The questions about the ARPA dollars not only revealed questions about the expenditures of those dollars, but it also questioned how we function down here when it comes to the budget and the lack of oversight of council. We can no longer kick that can down the road. I want to reference, there was an article written, I think 2015, when this council passed putting the budget online. And it addresses all of the issues that we're now asking questions now. If we would have passed it, funded it. Council passed putting the city's budget online so that we, first of all, could understand what's happening with our money, but then we could engage our constituents. We need to address the questions about the ARPA dollars before we go into our operating budget. And then as it comes the end of the year, you clean off your desk, and I've got paper everywhere. I'm a paper magnet. People in the audience can't hear you, Councilman. I'm sorry, I'm a paper magnet, but I came across a document of an issue that's been concerns for a while, and I shared this with our chairman. I would like to make copies. I'd like for this to be a part of council's official record. It's a document from 2010 where an organization in my ward, Inner City Soccer, was charged $3,000 to rent Copley soccer fields. And at that time, we refuted it. It was reduced, I think, by half. And when they were told to write the check, they were told to write the check to the organization. I told them no, write it to the city. The city gave the check back to Inner City Soccer and told them to write it to the organization. Now, I've had conversations with our law department. This is from 2010. So at that time, of course, there was a different law director, but I believe I've even had this conversation with our present law director. There is no official legal document on this agreement. Now, the ARPA dollars question our oversight of the city's finances here. So what I'd like to do, Madam President, because we remember it was about a year and 4 months ago we had a conversation about Inner City Soccer, and the reason why we said we're not dealing with it is because of politics. Here I have copies of checks, copies of invoices, and this goes back to 2010 up to 2015. I'd like for us, as we look at how we oversee the city's finances, to look into why do organizations write a check to a private organization that has no accountability to the city when it comes to the funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Neal. Councilwoman Mosley?
Thank you. Just briefly, I know we don't have council on Monday, but I did want to publicly not just invite my colleagues, but community members, even if they don't live in Ward 5. We are having a Ward 5 meeting on Thursday, January 19th at Eandacy. We're bringing in the ADM board to talk about the high rate of overdoses and suicide in the city of Akron. And I'm not sure if anyone is even aware of how high the numbers are in the city. In meeting and speaking with Amy Wade over at the ADM board, there has been 221 overdoses in the county in 2022. We're already in 2023 and we've had 31 overdoses. Suicides in 2022, 81 of them. And now we're into 2023 and we've already had suicides. The #1 hit community of suicides in the city is 44306. And that is the part of the ward that I represent, and these are young people between the ages of 25 and 34 who are committing suicide. So we are going to have those clinicians are to come in and have a conversation with that community to talk about the different services that are out there that maybe our young people don't know about, and bring in some of these other mentors from different agencies in Family First, We have another sober house over on Hamill Street. They're all going to come in and have a conversation about what they're seeing and how they can help combat some of these, because our young people are struggling out here. And they are dying at an alarming rate. And we have to not only do something about it, but we have to talk about it so these families know about these services that are out there. One of these young men, I know the family, and no one even thought that there was an issue. His funeral was the same day as Mr. Sharp's funeral. And at that very moment, I found out that he had taken his own life. I didn't even know that that was why. I knew his family, but didn't know he had committed suicide. And this was a young man who was 25 years old. So we have to have a conversation about it. I will encourage my council members to also reach out to the ADM board, even if you're not available to come to the Ward 5 meeting on the 19th. Have them have a conversation in your ward, because we have an issue with our young people in this community, and they are struggling. And they're not just struggling, they're dying. And so I do hope that you all will reach out to them, because I think it's a conversation that we need to have, and we need to have it sooner than later. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Is there anything else coming before this body at this time? Councilman Malik?
Thank you, Madam President. Just a few things. I wanted to underline the words of Pastor Krabs, really expressing thankfulness for the deal that was reached to avert the teacher strike. I know this was continuing concern for all of us throughout the community over the last few weeks and the holidays. And what we know is that the issues that were present there are not fully resolved, and they're all of our responsibilities. All of us here around this horseshoe, but also everyone here in the community has a role to play in making sure we have safe schools and safe neighborhoods, and in making sure that we have supportive centers where our young people are able to get quality education and have hope for the future. I really appreciate Councilwoman Mosley mentioning the statistics that Director Amy Wade has shared. I know she shared them at the Health Equity Summit, and that those slides are available because they are so powerful. You know, our young people are dealing with incredible things that, you know, previous generations haven't had to deal with. This remote education, really social media that has gone so far to one extreme, and, you know, the impact of weapons that are everywhere. Two other things I just wanted to touch upon briefly. Our colleague mentioned the White Pond development, and obviously the last meeting that we had was full of a lot of tension and turbulence. It was a really unfortunate situation. I think we've all reflected on that. I did want to note that, you know, there were several letters that were sent to council about, sent to the city as a whole about the 2/3 requirement versus the majority requirement. I know that today a letter in response was shared with us that included an outside law opinion that, you know, really went in detail through the requirements, and I believe concluded that the vote was appropriate as a majority vote passing it. I was not a part of that majority, but I do respect the determinations of our law department, and I believe in this case outside counsel around that. So I do want everyone to know that that legal reasoning has been shared with us and has been shared with attorneys who wrote letters on behalf of taxpayers. And then the third piece, obviously one of the things that has confronted our entire community over the last few years and going back are these questions around policing. And these are things that we're going to have to confront in the year ahead. You know, we are going to see what the process that the BCI is undertaking involves in regards to the tragic killing of Jalen Walker. And we're all going to have to work with our community to understand how to move forward. I think that the steps we've taken around the Citizens Review Board can be positive. I would encourage everyone who's listening to consider applying to be a part of that board, because I think there's so much potential to bridge the trust gaps that are there. And we can hold multiple ideas in our head at the same time. I think we can have deep appreciation for the service of our police officers while also believing that all of our governmental institutions, including our police department, need policy and cultural change in how we interact, particularly with Black residents. And so I think, the year ahead, I'm sure we'll face a lot of the challenges that we faced during the previous year, but I think there's a lot of consensus. I think there's a lot of opportunity for us all to come together. We are all on the same team. We're going to need all of us at the table to get things done. So it's with that spirit that we start the new year.
Thank you, Councilman Malik. Councilman Neal?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilman made me think of one thing. One, I appreciate the information that came from an outside law department, but we are held accountable. That's not going to, we're held accountable about how we uphold our charter. And our law department is to serve council as a whole. It shouldn't be difficult if we ask for a legal opinion that we get one. And I know I would appreciate that so that we can stand and answer our colleagues. But I do want to mention this too. And Madam President, I know you take this as, and why I don't know, as an attack towards you every time I ask about the bomb threat. But I have to ask you because you're the one who said to me about the bomb threat. You were the one who said during our meetings that you would get back with us, and you were the one who said that we would have some type of procedure. And with my colleague mentioning the BCI report, I know the community is trying to position itself for whatever may happen when that report comes out. We saw how we handled, and hopefully we will have learned how we handled December 12th. It is of my opinion that the reason why we were shut down for a month was because we didn't want to deal with the community. But we saw several times since the bomb threat that we said we had. Just last week there was a bomb threat at the federal building. We see how they handled it. They informed the public, they shut down the potentially threatened area, they verified the threat, and then they opened it back up. It's been 4 months now, going on 5, since we said that, it was said that this council was going to come up with a protocol that we all understand. I believe we need to have that in place because when the report comes out, just like the community is trying to prepare itself, this council has to have a better way of engaging and cannot allow a threat that has never been verified, never sent to the police department, never sent to the fire department, and then not even share it with other people in the building who are potentially in harm's way of that threat. We cannot afford for that to happen again. So I'm hoping that we have some type, if it's nothing more than learning from what they did across the way, because like I said, everybody's trying to be as prepared as possible for when that report comes out. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Neal. I'm going to ask Gertz. I know that we're on break, this coming Monday, but the following Monday, if you can come back and bring a report. I know that the administration, police and fire, were kind of working on putting some procedures in place. So if you can come with a report and an update with council, that would be great. Okay. Oh, I see Councilwoman Mobian's hand. I'm sorry.
And Councilwoman Mosley reminded me of this. There is an event tomorrow at the downtown library where you have Dr. Josephine Riley, who is the Assistant Chief Supervisory Psychologist, VA Northeast Ohio Healthcare System in Cleveland. She is putting on a seminar. It's tomorrow from 5 to 7 downtown. The topic is suicide prevention in Black and other communities of color. She's talking about the facts around suicide in the Black and other communities of color. And she's also talking about strategies and making people aware of the signs and symptoms. I've been out of town, but this came out the latter part of December. It is put on by the Adam Board's Summit County Suicide Prevention Coalition. So it's tomorrow from 5 to 7 at the downtown library, and you can still get there if you would like.
Okay. Thank you so much. Councilman Fusco? So we have a motion to adjourn. If there are no objections, meeting adjourned.
This concludes the live broadcast of Akron City Council. Margot Somerville, President of Council, presiding.